What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 245 on Hobby Hotline. We are here being hosted on the illustrious Bench Clear Media Network. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button here. Also, make sure to go over to our YouTube and hit the like and subscribe button as well. Today, I am joined by the wonderful Erica, Love What You Collect, and Brody TK. We'll start with you, Erica. How's your week going? What you got going on?
I'm doing good. My week is good. I actually just got back into the country. My daughter and I backpacked Europe for a month. So we
Oh,
literally just
wow.
got back on Thursday. So we're just adjusting jet lag and all of that jazz. But it was cool. And also when we were in London, we went to a sports card show. So that was our
Oh,
first international show. So it was really cool.
awesome. That's really cool. And I love your Aces shirt you got on today. We're
Thank
going to get
you.
into some WNBA topics a little bit later on, some women's college basketball, all that kind of stuff. We also, like I said, we have Brody, the kid, here with us today. Brody, how's it going?
Good. I only got 1 week left of school, so that's awesome. A little tired. Got finals to study for, but that'll be awesome once I'm done with that.
Yeah,
Nice.
love that. I mean, I'm sure we all probably remember that last week of school vibes are probably vibes are probably pretty high getting ready for the summer. What do you got? I mean, I know you've got like sports and stuff. What you got anything going on this summer, like sports related or cards related that you want to like shout out?
Oh yeah, I mean we got the national, obviously. I don't have baseball. I've got camps, so it's gonna be a fun summer. I can't wait.
Awesome. Yeah, that's exciting. For Erica and I'm sure there isn't really much of a summer break. It's kind of once you get out of college and once you get out of high school, it kind of just all blends together. Summer is actually just the weather where you kind of stay inside a little bit because it gets a little bit too hot. I mean, for me, I'm down here in Atlanta, so like the summer is like it'll be 9 o'clock in the morning. It'll be like 110 degrees. So I'm trying to figure out. I've been getting back on my running schedule, so I'm trying to figure out when is going to be the best time for that with the hot weather. I wanted to give a shout out to everybody watching as well, leaving comments. Leave us a comment with, where you're watching the show today. I mean, that's always a fun topic that I see people kind of commenting from all over the country. I think that's one of the cool things about shows like this is, all over the country. And then we've had some international viewers as well. So that's always exciting. We are actually going to start out with a interesting news story coming out of the NFL rookie premiere, which is for people who are, maybe new to sports card. This is basically the time of the year when the rookies for the NFL start to sign some of their cards. They also get the photo shoots for some of the cards. So, we've seen like Don Russ, Optic, all those kinds of all those kinds of cards. And then I think Prism, National Treasures, and they start to sign some of their collegiate cards as well. And one of the news stories that actually came out was that on one of the first days here, Adam Schefter reported that the four top quarterbacks, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, and Will Levis, were attending a lunch with Fanatics CEO Michael Rubin, Tom Brady, and then Travis Scott also was in attendance there. They were discussing entrepreneurship and brand building, which, I mean, in my opinion, I think this is one of the big differences that we're going to see within sports cards when it comes to brand building and what the company is doing for some of these players and how they're kind of treating the players. I mean, Erica, I'll start out with you. What were kind of some of your initial thoughts when you saw this news?
This was to me as expected. Obviously they're going to go the direction of more player involvement, more player first incentives, making it more experiential for the consumers and growing the market base. So yeah, this is as expected and more to come. And it's going to be less of what we're used to seeing in the past and currently. And yeah, it's going to be a new world, I believe, what Fanatics is going down.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I think with Michael Rubin compared to maybe some of the other, I guess, CEOs that have been CEOs of sports card companies, I mean, I don't think we really have grasped how famous Michael Rubin is. I think that's, he can call Devin Booker in a card shop and he picks up in 2 seconds. He gets Travis Scott, he gets Tom Brady to come to these events. So Brody, I'll kick it to you as well. Like, what do you think of this news? Like, how do you think it's going to affect cards, or you think it's more of just, maybe Fanatics trying to help build sort of the brands a little bit better?
Well, I think it could be kind of interesting if somehow they could strike a deal with some of these quarterbacks. I mean, we don't know, obviously, but if they somehow do sign exclusives, it could be game changing, especially for guys like Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, for Panini and for Fanatics, because they would be out of Panini sets, which would Panini sets would go down. And then for Fanatics sets, it'd be interesting. Would they put them in all their Bowman University sets? And maybe this is why all these collegiate I don't know why I said collegiate sets they've been putting out, because they put out Bowman U Chrome, then they put out Bowman's Best, and then they just put out Bowman Inception. Maybe this is why they've kind of been putting them out. Like, hey, we're around, so we just want to keep putting these out so you can see them. You could see them. So maybe they were like, hey, we're here, so we're gonna put these guys in there soon, so be ready. But I don't know. It could be interesting. I don't know. It just
I mean, I think Topps has sort of shown over the past few years that they weren't. I don't know if scared is necessarily the right word, but they are more willing to come out with these unlicensed sets if they know that in the future they're going to be getting the licensed sets. I mean, we had a Bowman Chrome U basketball and a Bowman Chrome U football set last year, which had the Bryce Young. I think CJ Stroud was in that, but it wasn't licensed. I think the interesting thing actually with that Bryce Young card is that like Alabama's uniforms are so like not logo heavy. So like that Bryce Young, people might not even realize that Bryce Young actually isn't licensed, because I don't think Alabama's uniforms, other than like maybe a logo on the front, really have that many logos on it. Like I think there's a lot of more Photoshop going on with some of the other cards. So one of the things that Brady said, I think there was a video that came out. He was talking about how he talked to Will Levis. He was like, being drafted in the second round really doesn't matter that much. And then he kicked it back to Bryce Young. It was like, yeah, being picked first overall really doesn't matter, because he kind of was comparing his experience to himself being, drafted in the 6th round. So I think it's kind of interesting, the dynamic of quarterback cards in the hobby. So Erica, for you, like, if you're looking at, I mean, I'm not sure how into buying quarterback cards you are necessarily, but like from your perspective, like, do you think that the risk of buying one of the higher drafted quarterbacks is worth it versus like, for Brady, no one really knew that Brady was going to turn into what he did, but like maybe spending a little bit less money buying maybe somebody that is, let's just say drafted in the later rounds. Like, do you think that the risk and reward is worth it buying those like expensive, higher draft pick cards?
I'm twofold on this question. So personally, no. But overall, and where I see things going, I think it will start to make a little bit more sense, because I really think that we're going more towards the direction of sports betting mindset, and how the hobby operates with cards. It's already there. But I think it's going to be 10x. In 2 years, it's going to be 10x. It's literally going to be like walking into a casino, placing your sports bets. And it's going to, like, that's how I believe that we're going in terms of this. So yeah. And with Fanatics machine behind them, with the marketing and all, like you said, Michael Rubin, like, we didn't realize how famous he was. It's not about how famous he is. It's about how in tune and how connected he is to the individuals that he associates with. That's what's different about him. And like I mean personally, I don't care about people in whatever statuses and stuff like that. But what I do admire about him is that he at least tries to be open-minded and learning about other people's views, and then incorporating it in business and in the real world, and trying to help. So yeah, so I just think that the price. I think we will hit another price increase once they really roll in their marketing strategies and stuff like that, because new consumers are becoming really excited and anxious to do something new. And with such low demand, like it's with new, and we say if we double the hobby space now, there's going to be demand for the cards, and it's not the supply that's going to be available. So that's going to automatically just, drive prices up. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great point. And actually, to your point, I think that's sort of what I meant when, in terms of like the famous conversation with Michael Rubin. I think he is, has so many connections, but so many different types of connections, that I think it's going to be very interesting to sort of see how he can like merge like sort of all these connections, like almost I feel like it'll almost be like the Avengers, where he'll like at one point there will be like, you know, I think this is a good example, him, and then like, you know, he obviously is friends with like people like Jay-Z, Meek Mill. I mean, we all kind of these are some friendships that he sort of is always posting on social media, stuff like that. But I mean, I'll be interested to see sort of maybe some of the behind the scenes stuff that Fanatics is going to do. So I'll kick it over to you, Brody. When it comes to the football cards kind of within this hobby, do you think that Fanatics coming in and eventually they're going to be making these football cards, that they're going to be more popular than what Panini does? I mean, I guess maybe the question that I have is for you, like what are your hopes when it comes to Fanatics making football cards versus like what Panini is doing now, I guess?
I think that's kind of like a time will tell kind of question. I'm not sure. I think we'll really see as they start making them. I don't know. It's a hard one to guess. And I think we'll also see too if they end up buying Panini too. I think that could also be something that happens too. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think what I see with them, there is going to be a lot of new, you know,
Yeah.
mixing with like new designs, new products, and then mixing in physical with experiential, you know. So it's going to be just a lot of just new. It's going to be kind of like the Jetsons, you know. We used back in the day used to watch the Jetsons, like, oh my god, flying cars, and
Yeah.
it's going to be kind of like that in 3 years when we see what Fanatics does. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be good or bad, but it's just going to be a lot of innovation and trying new things, and you know, and really trying to grow, because obviously they're here to make money, you know.
Right.
So, and the only way to actually make money that they invested in buying all this stuff is to expand the market, and to expand the market. The general public is not going to really be interested in the sports card market like as is. Having one or two cards, fine, but being active, no. But so they have to take an approach of, you know, experience based and different things.
I was wondering too, because I was playing Prism Monopoly, which also a very fun game. I was wondering too, can they eventually just like buy everything at some point? Like, because I just brought up them buying Panini. I wonder if they will just end up buying like a ton of companies. Like, I actually kind of think it's possible, and it could just end up being a monopoly. Like, I think it could happen.
No pun
I don't know.
intended.
I think it could happen.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Actually, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I think a couple other sort of pieces of news that are kind of related to this is like, DraftKings had, you know, they're like the fantasy sports, and now they're getting into like sports betting. They had recently a 2018 Prism break that they were releases that they did like over this past week. I actually wasn't able to catch the actual broadcast, but I know that they were selling spots in like a break. Like DraftKings, like I think is one of the, you know, biggest sports companies, and I mean I think I think Kalish, I forget, Matt Kalish, I think his name is. He is in the Gary V circle with DraftKings, and then I think that also kind of includes Michael Rubin as well. So I mean that's maybe where you're seeing that. Fanatics also recently bought PointsBet, I believe, which is like one of the bigger sports books in, I don't know if it's in the world or in the United States or whatever, but I mean, I agree with you, Brody, actually. Like, I wonder when Fanatics is going to be like, okay, we're good, or if they're going to continue to keep buying this stuff. And I'm a little bit nervous that they're going to get over their head, to be completely honest. Like, I don't know necessarily. I mean, they're a big enough company that I think they can bring anybody in. They can bring any industry expert in, probably, because, like, especially the way that they're growing, like, they're growing in a bunch of different ways. I don't know if they're going to keep buying different entities in different markets and try and really just become like the everything sports company. If you want to buy clothing, you can buy stuff through them. If you want to buy cards, if you want to bet on sports, if you want to, maybe fantasy sports is coming up soon, but it's like, it's kind of everything. So, I mean, Brody, I'll ask you this question. Do you think, because I think you had a good point there, like, do you think that Fanatics do you think that they're buying too many things, or like, do you wish that like they'll continue to grow and maybe become sort of like that everything sports company, I guess?
Maybe they're buying a little too much, or maybe they need to, maybe they're like good enough, like where they are now, because they have like all the pieces of the puzzle, or maybe there's like a couple more things that they need to add, but they don't need to like keep expanding and get like everything. You know what I mean? Like, they don't need to be the monopoly, but they need pieces, but then they need to stop because
Right.
it still needs. I feel like there still needs to be competition. I feel like
Mm.
what makes this hobby like a hobby. I feel like is the competition that we have.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah,
Erica,
I,
I'll
I,
kick it to you as well and ask you sort of the same question.
Oh yeah, like I agree with you, Brody. Personally, I totally agree with you. On the flip side, business wise, it's all about the dollar. Like no matter how nice or in touch someone is who's running the company is, it's still about increasing profits and all of that jazz. So it's for them, it's kind of like the saying, like I used to play basketball and it's be the saying like a coach would rather have opposing players that are like really good or causing problems. They would rather have them on their bench and not play them versus having to go against them. So like the same thing with business. Like I would rather just buy the company and like it can just be sitting on the shelf than me having to go against them. Or it could be the strategy of let me buy this company and it saves me 2 years of time to do 20% of research because they've done 80% of the research. All I need is to extract this amount because it saves us time. And one thing that Fanatics is focused on is getting the most done in a short period of time to really capitalize on the way the sports landscape has changed dramatically with NIL, with decrease in sports viewership professionally, with our NBA superstars aging. Like they have the time window. Like once LeBron and Steph Curry and like the greats that are playing right now stop playing, sports viewership is going to plummet. And I'm not hating. It's not, but I'm just saying, like,
Right.
I know so many people, men and women, that watch NBA just for LeBron James or Steph Curry. They don't give a crap about the local team. They don't. It doesn't interest them, no matter how good or talented or skilled these players are. People, in general, are just attached to watching greatness. And so Fanatics, they own a window of like, within this next 1 to 2 years, we need to be hitting these major markers to be fully established. So that's why, the strategy of just, buying things up, it works for them. And they should keep doing it. But, I just hope they continue to really just hire the right minds and have a good balance between good business, but also doing what's right for the world. So.
Right. I mean, I think what you said there is a really phenomenal point about like Steph Curry and LeBron James. Like those two players have such a global reach right now in the NBA. And I'm wondering if there's really anybody in the league that has that same reach. I mean, I think Giannis potentially could, maybe Jason Tatum, maybe Luka. Zion, I think could have if he hadn't, I don't know, gotten injured every single season. Like, so I don't even know. I'm not even going to get into that conversation, but like, I don't know if there's anybody in the league right now. Like even Kevin Durant is another example. I think the players in the league right now are on such almost like a pedestal above the second tier of superstars that in my opinion, it gets a little bit sketchy when it comes to like what's going to happen in the future with, maybe it's whether it's Fanatics or whether, whatever happens with Panini, like with these cards, like, or even just, viewership in general, like, are we reaching a peak almost like, because we've seen ups and downs in terms of, every year we continue to see TV ratings go up. Like, at what point does that not happen? Like, does that, like, I don't know. I mean, I think this year, hopefully, I don't know. I mean, I'm a Celtics fan, so I'm obviously rooting for the Celtics, but like, I'm wondering what the best matchup could be. Like, is it Celtics Lakers? Probably, but like, if it's Nuggets Heat, is that also going to bring in a similar audience? Like, I mean, I think in general, like with the NHL right now, that's one of the big issues that I think they're going to have in terms of TV ratings for the conference finals and the finals. You have 4 teams in, well, Vegas, I guess, is kind of, they have at least a decent amount of the market, but you have Dallas, Vegas, Florida, and Carolina, like 4 kind of random teams, like not like nobody from the original 6, which I guess the original 6 maybe not as important as it used to be, but either way, like I think, like you were saying, the TV ratings, I think it's going to continue to, hopefully we continue to see a rise, and that hopefully helps the sports card market. But I guess it's really going to come down to like, I think Brody had said earlier, like who really knows? Like there's still time will tell what exactly is going to happen. And so we'll transition from the quarterbacks of this year to the big names that are going to be coming in the NBA and WNBA and college. So these past couple weeks, we've seen some pretty quickly developing stories when it comes to Victor Wembanyama. He's going to be drafted number 1. He's supposed to be this next super prospect, kind of similar. Brody, I know you're from Chicago, so I'm sure you're pretty hyped up about Connor Bedard going first overall to the Blackhawks.
Take hard for Bedard.
Yeah, right. That's pretty cool as well. So I think it's interesting this year we're seeing 2 kind of like super prospects coming out of basketball and hockey, but the cards coming out now, obviously, Victor Wembanyama, he gets announced that he's going to be in the Bowman Inception set. He's going to be on the checklist, and then he gets announced that he's going to be on the Bowman Chrome U set. Now, the cards for Wembanyama in this Inception set, unfortunately, I've seen a couple come out on social media. They're redemptions, which I think makes sense because like the announcement kind of came a little bit quickly down the road. So Brody, I'll start with you. Like, what are kind of your initial thoughts on this set with Caitlin Clark as well? I mean, we'll get into that, but Caitlin Clark, Victor Wembanyama, what are kind of your initial thoughts on these Bowman Chrome U and then the Bowman Inception sets coming out?
I think it's cool that they're doing multi-sport. I kind of like that. I like the design. They look cool. I've seen so many of them. That's like the one thing. I've seen so many pictures of the redemption of Wembanyama. So that's like the one concern I have. And for him coming to the league, the one thing I have is he might need to go to the weight room a little bit because he's kind of a little bit of a toothpick.
Right, yeah.
That's a point for a different time, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just not really like a huge prospector guy, especially for basketball, like internationally, because I don't really watch. I'm a bigger college basketball guy just because I like the atmosphere of it. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm not really your guy for that.
Gotcha. So Eric, I'll ask you kind of the same question. Like, what are some of your, these 2 sets are, I think are going to maybe, in my opinion, I think these sets are going to, I don't want to say revolutionize, but I think they're going to be a big deal in the grand scheme of things when it comes to college cards. I think, we have like Caitlin Clark. I watched her pretty closely this season, and she's just like a superstar basically. And, there's some superstars in the, WNBA. You've got your Aces shirt, like I was mentioning earlier. So I'm interested from your perspective, like, what do you think of these cards and kind of just the autographs between the 2 in general, I guess?
Yes. I'm gonna start off with ladies first. So I'll start off with Caitlin and the ladies. I think that this is great for women's college basketball players because with NIL, social media, how things have changed within the last few years, it's become even bigger reach, and the demand for the top female basketball players sports cards is really high. Like, it's really high. And I know people say, oh, well, it's college uniforms. Well, for women's basketball, that doesn't, I don't think that's the case, to be honest, because people drool over Candace Parker cards with her Tennessee uniform or Maya Moore with her UConn uniform on, or Paige or Fudd. Like, they want those cards just as much, or if not more, because of the significance and how invested people are in women's college basketball. You got to remember, women's college basketball plays on the same timeline as men's college basketball, so it's like a full season. WNBA, it's a way shorter period in terms of how it feels, and so it's 2 different markets. Like me personally, I would love to get a Caitlin Clark card in her Iowa jersey, because when I think about it, I think about how great she has been. Like for me personally, if you ask me if I want a Sabrina Ionescu card, which card would I rather have, an Oregon card or a Liberty card? I would personally rather the Oregon card, because I remember the greatness that she was doing in college. Like,
right.
That's more appealing for me, and I think that's how it is for the followers of women's sports. But on the flip side with Victor, I'm happy to see him in the set and everything. International players is kind of they don't really translate as well as people like to think they do. Like Giannis, he's very underappreciated, but I believe that's because he is not American, point blank period. Like we can go down the list of, foreign born and players, and they're just dramatically underappreciated in that sense. And I think Victor is going to kind of fall in that same boat. And I think it's just a lot of pressure being put on him. Like I saw a little brief from the draft, and I'm like, oh wow, like he's getting a lot of like not LeBron-esque pressure, but it's close. This is as closest to like the LeBron coming out since I've seen, but I just don't think that's fair for him, and I don't think that no one will come even close to LeBron's story. So I don't know. Me personally, if you ask me if I was going to buy a card between these two, Caitlyn or Victor, I would buy Caitlyn. To be honest with you.
I'm in the same boat. I mean, like I said, it was unfortunate this season that Paige Buchers got injured like in the first UConn practice. I mean, and then I think the storylines going into the next women's college basketball season, I think it's probably going to be the most anticipated. Like, I mean, I guess the media I think has done a better job at covering it, so I think maybe we know the names more, which I think that has led to it being more anticipated. I mean, I think you've got LSU with Angel. She is like a superstar in the making. I think you could consider her probably already a superstar, maybe. And then definitely. You have Van Leith, who is transferring from Louisville, who is another player who has like a pretty big size NIL like contracted just in general. And then you obviously got Paige Buchers coming back. You got Caitlin Clark. I mean, I'm hoping that I'm hoping that maybe we're gonna see like each of them get their own region, and then in the Final Four maybe there's like matchups between the two of them. I mean, that's like a dream scenario, I think, between those three teams. But I think even then this year, we're seeing like Aaliyah Boston go first overall. So that was extremely exciting. I mean, she's one of the other names that's coming out of this set, and then the Bowman Chrome U set as well. So I'm actually in the same boat as you. Like if we're between the two, I would go Caitlin Clark. I like Victor Wembanyama. I think, his name always gets, clicks when you're making content. But in my opinion, we've seen Caitlin Clark. We've seen her just go out there and just, I thought she had a phenomenal season. I mean, LSU, I think they obviously had a better team overall, like more good players. So yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat as you. And I'm Brody. I think you had a point before I kind of was going off there a little bit.
No, I would rather have the Caitlin Clark too, because I mean, I just like the college significance with it all. Even though I'm not an Iowa fan, I'm an Illinois fan, so that's like the only problem with that. But I mean, I remember I think it was the 2017 or 2018 Notre Dame women's team that I watched when they hit the buzzer beater. I have a huge family Notre Dame fan, and that was one of the craziest women's national tournament teams I ever watched. It was awesome. We had a great time watching that team.
Yeah. I would also love to see Fanatics, like, when I said they were going to be doing new, I hope that they really, really do new stuff, and like something like release a product at the start of, college basketball season. It could be mixed, the men's and women's, like together, but have something to be excited for. Have something that in live games people can be incorporating with, with marketing, talking about, and then, so I would love for that, because I hate all of the off-season releases, because it just doesn't. I understand the logistics and business behind it, but as someone who watches sports and collects cards, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
I agree. And I mean, I think the one thing when they announced the Bowman Chrome U set, I was like, I wish that they had, like, I think that they need to, I'm hoping Fanatics maybe does this. I'm not 100% sure if they will, but like, I'm hoping that we can get like more sets around significant times of the year.
Bingo.
So like, more, whatever the Topps Chrome basketball or whatever comes out during the NBA finals. Like, I think that would be really cool. Or like when they bring in football, like, or if they get Prism or whatever the brand ends up being, like the biggest brand comes out during the championship, or like, the college products, or the first product comes out, during the draft, or like during the All-Star game or something like that. I just think, I think that it's kind of twofold there. There are a lot of products. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of tough to maybe schedule it that way. But I just think that maybe if they reduce the amount of products, unfortunately, that might lead to an increase in the print run. But I think that there could be more thought put behind like when products are coming out during the year.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that would be. I think that'd be good.
I personally believe that's something that Fanatics is already is on their the main points to do, because in order for them to continue to grow, they have to do it that way. Like what like it would be so cool to have like an NBA finals special release pack come out, even if it's so limited, but it's live, like you literally can, to capitalize on that for a newer market. Because at the end of the day, people who don't collect cards and are sports fans, it has to line up when they're watching it is when they're actually opening products or being very active in buying products. That's the only way to really capitalize on. I'll give you an example. Like my best friend, we went to the casino to watch the Aces game, the playoff game, and I surprised him with a Kelsey Plum card. He was so hyped, like he loved the way she played, like he loved her, but we watched the game that same day. Like if I would give it to him off season, it'll be still cool, but he wouldn't have had as much excitement because it brought back a memory. So when he look at that car, he'd be like, yo, I remember me and E was at the casino, spending time, it all connects, human emotions to feelings and everything like that. And that's how consumerism is, it just makes but Fanatics is going to be fine because they operate when that business aspect, and people have to remember, for people in the hobby is like the 100% thing, but Fanatics, the sports card hobby is probably 15% of their whole thing. So it's going to be just very interesting.
Yeah. Brody, do you have any kind of final thoughts on sort of the prospect cards that are coming out, or what's kind of exciting for you? I know you kind of mentioned some things. What's exciting for you? You have a player you're excited for? I mean, Connor Bedard, I would imagine probably you're pretty excited for.
Yeah, I'm excited to see those, and all the Illinois players. We got a couple going into the draft supposedly, so I'll be excited to see them leave.
Yeah,
sadly.
Nice.
Yeah, and I mean, how do I word this nicely? I was a Bruins fan, or I am a Bruins fan, so I wasn't necessarily following. I kind of was following the Connor Bedard saga, but as Blackhawks didn't have the best season, kind of unfortunately traded away one of your superstar, Patrick Kane, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So for you, was Connor Bedard? Were you surprised that they got the first pick, or was it something where you were no, were you doing seances with candles and lighting stuff and trying to make sure you could get them?
Oh, I thought they rigged it. I didn't think there was any way. When my dad showed me it, I'm like, oh, this is rigged. There's no way. They want him to go to Chicago. They didn't want him to go to Canada. They want him to go to Chicago so that they could rebuild the new Patrick Kane. They didn't want him to go to Vancouver. They want him to go to Chicago, be in the middle of the country. That's why they did it. They rigged it, guaranteed.
I think it's also interesting. That's what kind of a lot of people were saying too about Wembanyama going to the Spurs. I am in the boat where I'm 75-25 on the NBA is potentially there's a little bit of rigging going on there. I mean, Anthony, this is a conspiracy theory potentially, but maybe not. But when LeBron left, when he left for the Heat, 3 out of the 4 years he was gone, the Cavs got the first pick in a lottery. So I don't understand how that happens. And then the 1 year that they didn't get the first pick was the Anthony Davis draft. And that was the same year that I believe it was Charlotte or it was New Orleans, whichever one it was at the time. I think it was New Orleans. They sold, the NBA owned the team and they sold the team and then they got the first pick. So, Victor Wembanyama going to maybe one of the teams that has the best developing of international prospects. I mean, I think it's definitely a good thing for him. I mean, he's going to have a number of international. You got Tony Parker, you got Manu Ginobili. I mean, Popovich. He's that kind of team in general is just good at developing prospects. So I think that's a good thing. I mean, I don't know. Maybe if Zion had gone somewhere that I don't know, had a better development of prospects, maybe things would have turned out a little bit differently, unfortunately, but it is what it is. But yeah. So, I mean, we'll kind of wrap this topic up a little bit. So, Erica, what do you have who are you most excited for kind of in these new Bowman Chrome U sets? Is Caitlin Clark the player that you're kind of most excited for? Or were there any other names that you kind of had your eye on in these sets that are coming out?
Okay, I'm personally, I'm on a anti breaking type of phase right now. Mm-hmm. So I haven't really put much thought into it, but from what I've seen, I would really love to have a nice Caitlin Clark card and Aaliyah Boston card. So I saw the Leah Boston. I don't know if it was a patch card. It was a really nice card I saw first, but I would really like to have those two players because they've had outstanding college careers, and it's been an honor and wonderful to watch them play it. So yeah, those are the two for me.
And then, yeah, same kind of question for you, Buddy. Or, you said you had a couple, you had a couple Illinois players that were in the draft. Who were some of the players that maybe you're excited for that are coming out of this draft?
Yeah, I actually haven't looked at the checklist yet. I actually just have kind of been seeing who people have pulled. I don't know if they're in the checklist or not, but Coleman Hawkins and Terrence Shannon Jr. Not sure if they're in the checklist or not, but I'll actually, after we get off this, I'll probably go and look at the checklist of autographs.
Awesome. Yeah, and then this week, some of the other kind of news that sort of came out was there was a new triple logo man coming out with Luka, LeBron, Steph Curry. We obviously remember last year the crazy hype around that LeBron triple logo man. So I'll kick it to you, Erica, first. Is this a card that kind of gets you excited, or is it sort of just like another marketing piece for Panini at this point?
It does not get me excited at all. Actually, I just kind of just look at it as like, okay. Definitely a marketing push. This is the type of card or that it's only really hyped up and popular because other people listen to other people. Like, like if you ask somebody, do they like it aesthetically? Then most people don't. Like, I don't know. So that's a no for me. I was really disappointed to see Luka on this card, but you know how that cookie crumbles. But I would like to see another player in his place on that card. Just keep it a championship winning all-time 50 great card. If you put Giannis on there instead. Like
right, yeah.
So,
Brody,
no hate to Luka. I love Luka. I'm not hating on him at all, but it's just a little premature right now. Like, so
right. Makes sense. Brody, I'll kick it to you. Kind of same question here. Is this something, I feel like these are, to be honest, I feel like these types of cards are sort of out of all of our price ranges, but like, is this a card that you're excited for? Or, what are your thoughts on the card, I guess?
Well, I mean, I see LeBron in the middle, but I don't see him on the left or the right. So that I was kind of just like, whatever. Like, I just was like, It would have been cool if LeBron was on all three again because that card was awesome. I loved that card last year when Ken Golden and Drake were doing live streams. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, I mean, I was just kind of joking with you because all the hype for the triple logo man last year. But it's cool. But I mean, I like the 75th anniversary. But I mean, I'd rather have signatures of all three of them on a card. To be completely honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the 75th anniversary logo is pretty cool. Like, so, I mean, Eric, I'll ask you, do you think that like cards with this 75th anniversary logo are going to be desirable? Like, do you think it matters, or do you think it's like something where it's just, it's going to be another in whatever, 10, 15 years. It's just, we're not going to look back and be like, oh, those 75th anniversary cards, like those were the ones that you really want to get.
I don't think that's going to be the case, to be honest. No. No.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, they are cool logos, but at the same time, it's like, maybe it's just another marketing kind of thing for them, I guess.
Yeah, they could have done better. These companies, these companies really lack in terms of just brainstorming good ideas. Like they could have done so much other creative things to make really cool cards. Like Brody said, like the LeBron card from last year, that was a cool card because it just broke down like each step that he made of greatness. Like, that was great. Like they could have done some other really cool stuff like that, but I don't know.
Right.
It's just crazy.
Yeah. And Brody, I mean, I'll ask you kind of this similar question here. Do you think cards with this 75th anniversary logo are going to be, important in the grand scheme of things, or do you think it's going to be just kind of like another card, like in the grand scheme of things?
Probably just another card. I don't see anything really that's like too exciting.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of comments too. Like, let's see, a lot of people, collector's dream, more hype marketing. Ziggy said Logo Man's overrated.
They are overrated.
Yeah, overproduced. Logo Mans are overproduced. I think the one thing that I sort of have an issue with Logo Man is that, like, I feel like it used to be only in like National Treasures you would get Logo Man, and then it turned into, or you'd only get it in Flawless, or you'd only get it in a certain amount of sets. But now it's like almost every set has like a one of one Logo Man, and I almost think that it's taken away sort of some of the mystique of it, I guess. And I mean, I would be interested. I would imagine these probably are game worn. I think I'm not 100% sure about that, but like, I mean, that's one thing that I hope really Fanatics can step in and really take back sort of the memorabilia in cards. Like, they obviously have such a huge network of players that are, either signed to them. And then they also are kind of the exclusive partner for a lot of these companies. So like, we'll see sort of, what happens down the road. I mean, for you, Erica, like, where do you think Fanatics can come in and maybe make these cards a little bit more important or better, I guess? Because like, yes, it is good marketing, but like at the same time, it's like, it's the same concept that they came out with last year. Like at what point, the thing I also get nervous about is like, when do they just come out with another LeBron triple Logo Man? Like, I'm nervous that they would do something like that because of how much money they made. So like for you, Erica, what's something that you're hoping that sort of Fanatics can maybe fix when it comes to these types of memorabilia cards?
More creativity. And it's not that hard to be more creative,
Right.
and it's like, I have tons of ideas, but I don't know. Like, be more creative. Like, I just don't understand. I just, like, even like this card right here. Like why is Luca on this card? Like, what is the reasoning for it? Like I would love to know what the reason is. Like from who? I don't. They can't give me a good answer about that.
Put like KD. I mean any. I feel like any veteran that's maybe in the better conversation, because like, I mean, over the years we've seen triple cards that like one of the players you've never heard of. Now, I don't think Luka is going to be in that conversation, but I do think that like the to make a card that should be as prestigious, I think, as they want this one, I feel like a KD or I don't know, Brody, for you, like if you were to replace Luka on this card, like what player would you choose? I mean, or even just like what if you were to make a triple card like this, like who are the players that you would include?
If you could add anyone like Durant, Giannis, it just needs to be somebody that's like won a title. Luka just seems out of place. I feel like it's not that he's like not really good or won't do great things. It's just he's out of place. Like he's with two of the greatest ever and two like the guys that are like the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of all time. And he's just kind of chilling on the right side of this card. He's put Giannis on there.
Right. Yeah, and also with the significance of the 75 is this also ties with the 75 list, right? So why couldn't they have done something with the active players who are active? Do something like that. It's not that hard to be creative, like, or at least the 3 players on this card should have been off that list, like regardless of how you feel about the list or not. But that makes more sense, and that's things that will transcend later down. Because I remember clearly when the 50 list came out. I was younger. I remember all the hype, the people being mad about Shaq being on the list, this, that, and the third. But that's something that I always remember and carry through. I do feel as though the 75 list will, kind of linger similar like that. But I don't know. It's not hard to be creative, guys. Like Fanatics,
right?
Whoever these people make Panini,
right. Yeah, and I mean, we've actually had some good comments on cards that I want to point out. So, like, Zach said that he would rather have a Bo Jackson baseball card. I mean, that Bo Jackson is one of my favorite athletes. Like his 86 rookie card is one of my favorite cards. And then you got the iconic one where he's holding the bat. That's another iconic card. Let's see who else we had. I think somebody said, then Giannis, like we were saying. Somebody said, White Sox fan said Jokic. And then Zach also said Tony Cook from the Bull. That would be a cool one. I mean, it's unfortunate, I think the one thing that Fanatics and Panini need to look out for in the near future is that like LeBron isn't I think he's signed the exclusive to Upper Deck. So when he retires, he's not going to be in products, similar to what happened with Michael Jordan. Like Michael Jordan has, and like Wayne Gretzky for hockey, these players aren't in new sets because I think it's that they aren't part of the Basketball Players Association, or it's something along those lines. I know they signed the exclusive with Upper Deck. So like once LeBron isn't in the league, that's also why there aren't any LeBron autos in any of these products. So like, for example, this card wouldn't be able to be like a LeBron triple auto, like, which that would be, I mean, phenomenal. But like, unfortunately, that's kind of the reason why I think they're maybe trying to cash in on LeBron cards right now with doing everything they can to really get those products. Let's see. We got also, somebody said Luka has fallen. Kids are when kids are saying he's out of place. I think he might be referring to you, Brody. Unfortunately, you're not. Yeah, I remember when I first met Brody actually at the 2019 national. I think you gave me one of the wristbands that you were giving out, and it is kind of crazy to see that you have grown up pretty significantly over the past few years, which is really cool to see. We got triple. Sorry to block you there, Brody, but triple logo teammates would have been cool. For example, Celtics, Pierce, Allen. I mean, that would have been that's a phenomenal. That's a phenomenal idea, in my opinion.
Yeah,
like, I mean, obviously, as a Celtics fan, that'd be crazy. So yeah, Brody, go ahead.
If we were doing if we wanted to make the 75 impactful, like what if we did like LeBron is on the right for like the modern day, left is like early day NBA. I don't know, like Bill Russell, like somebody like that, somebody along those lines. And then in the middle, obviously you can't do Jordan, but somebody like Larry Bird or somebody like that. Like do somebody from each era, each 25 years era, and kind of make it like maybe their greatest of each era, something like that, because that could make the 75 feel impactful.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Do you guys know if these are game used or not? I don't remember. I think they should be, right? Or maybe are they not? Because if they're not, that kind of ruins the point of the cards. Like I know last year's LeBron card was all the logo mans from when he played on those other teams. But is that something? Eric, I'll start with you. There is do the. Like, how much of a difference do you think it makes for memorabilia to be game worn versus, bought at like Dick's Sporting Goods or whatever?
Huge in capital letters.
Yeah.
Huge difference day and night. Like, it amazes me that they put, not game worn by the actual player on these cards and just think that we're going to be a-okay with that. Like, no, stop disrespecting consumers, stop disrespecting us by putting BS in products like this. Like, period. I don't like this doesn't make any sense. Well, it does because companies don't care about us, but I don't know. I don't like it.
Right. I'll ask you kind of same question, Brody. I'm imagining your answers probably be very similar, but what do you think of the game worn versus the Dick's Sporting Goods jerseys?
Oh, yeah, obviously game worn is super important, but I was watching Ken Golden's show, and he had something on there that I think right away was like huge example for me to use game worn stuff. He went to Karl Malone's, I don't know if it was like his house or the item storage or something, but he had all of the Dream Team's jerseys and shoes that they wore. They never washed them, all their home uniforms. And they're actually on his site right now up for auction. They never washed them. There's blood stains, everything. So I just think it's awesome. Why would you want to go buy something like that at Dick's Sporting Goods when you could have that? Like, just put them in the card, please.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's definitely, I feel like that's a fine line when you're buying these used jerseys and you're making them into memorabilia pieces. Like I think I saw the shirt that LeBron wore, the pregame shirt that LeBron wore when he broke the scoring record. I think it was Heritage Auctions, I believe, or maybe it was Hunt Auctions. I forget the exact auction house, but the shirt sold for $150,000. And in my opinion, I was just like, why would sports card companies not come in and buy something like that and then put that in cards? Because they 100% could easily make more than $150,000 if they were to buy something like that. So Eric, I'll ask you this question. Do you think that sports card companies should buy kind of iconic memorabilia pieces like that and turn them into cards? Or do you think that like that should be kind of kept intact to whoever bought it? Like, and it shouldn't be something that is made into cards, I guess.
That's a great question. I lean more towards keeping it intact because that's museum pieces. But I think maybe a small percentage can go into cards. I just don't think all of them, or I don't think 50%. But yeah, I won't. I have no problem with with the shoestring cards or like the tongue cards from shoes. Like those are cool. Those are nice cards. Or the glove. Like I have a football glove card. I think that card is so cool. Like so yeah, I think that they should make more of those type of products for sure. But make sure they have really good designs with it. And just try to keep the quality up as well. Like it sucks. Right. It sucks pulling a card to get in the card and then it's all dinged up. Like even fresh. Like it's nothing worse. Well, it's stuff worse than that in life, but it really sucks. It makes you feel like why am I even trying to enjoy this hobby when I get crap. So that's my only thing about that.
Unfortunately, we are running into issues like that. I mean, I think another good comment, 3 Jerry West silhouettes on one card would be super cool. I mean, there's literally so many, I don't know. I think there's so many different combinations that they really could go for. So, I mean, I'll ask you actually, Brody, the same question. Do you think that, would you like to see them make cards out of iconic pieces of memorabilia? Or do you think it's almost like something where they shouldn't be, they can buy the game use stuff, but then they shouldn't make, they shouldn't like iconic, like another example of a jersey that recently sold was in the playoffs during Allen Iverson's rookie year. I think it was in a similar price range. I think it was in the 150 price range where the jersey that Allen Iverson actually wore, they photo matched the whole uniform. That was another one that sold. Like, so I'll ask you the same similar question. Do you think that they should keep these memorabilia pieces together, or would you like to see more maybe in a sports card product?
I would say keep them together, but I think there's really a way they can do this, and they can make it a chase-like thing if they can put redemptions, special redemptions, in products like Flawless and Eminence for the whole item. I think it would be awesome. The chase would be incredible. I think it would be the biggest chase possible because I think it would be really cool. I don't know if they bought, I don't know, Karl Malone's Dream Team uniform. We'll just go with that. And there was a redemption for it, and you got it. Oh my goodness, it would be awesome. Or if they bought the whole Dream, if they bought everybody's, and you didn't know who you were getting, it could be Jordan or it could be John Stockton. I mean, that would be pretty cool. You could keep the whole memorabilia intact. There could be a huge chase for it. Ken Golden Drake could be going live. Everybody could be chasing for it. Kind of be a cool experience all around.
Yeah, almost they could almost do like maybe make like a super oversized card with the full jersey, like similar how they do like the jersey displays, but like make it almost like a card. Like I think that would be kind of an interesting concept, like because they already do oversized cards in some boxes, but I think I'm like I said, I'm on the fence between like I think these iconic pieces should be kept whole, but also like I'm also thinking from the sports card perspective, like they easily could make products with some of these crazy jerseys and market the products with the jerseys in them. That's kind of the other thing that I feel like if they were to try something new, that might be a good idea. But I think your idea with like a redemption card or some sort of, because I mean, even if they don't, because I would think that if they did that, if they made like an actual design of the card, but it's like a redemption, almost like how they do, I think it's Topps, Allen and Ginter maybe, where they do the like rip cards where it's like you can rip it and there might be a card on the inside. I think that would be kind of cool. So, I think there are so many different things. I mean, Erica, so we'll go with you and then we'll sort of we're coming up on the end of the show here. So if you had any ideas for Fanatics or Panini, like what would you want to see like in a product or an upcoming product, I suppose?
I'm hesitant to say because I have a lot of ideas. I'm not. Okay. Uh,
We
hesitant to
might, you know, I've always joked that we should be charging
I
Fanatics and
know, I
Panini for
know, and
these
I'm a
like
free
ideas.
agent
Like
right now
eventually,
too.
hopefully,
I'm a free
you know,
agent right now too, so I'm I'll probably be working on my own company or something to that degree.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know? So I don't know.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what I'll do? Let me switch the question a little bit. Something that we talked about on a previous show
Yes.
was the new Beckett CEO and the old Beckett CEO. Really, they weren't. The old Beckett CEO wasn't necessarily a collector. So I think we asked a question I thought was very interesting that I'm interested to get your guys' perspective. Do you think that somebody that is like a CEO or like some sort of C-level executive, do you think that they have to collect sports cards for it to be a successful hire? Erica, I'll start with
No.
you on that question.
No, I don't think they have to collect sports cards, but I think that they have to have a true interest in learning and getting to understand the shoes of a true collector or just the aspects of it. They have to really just have an interest in it and put the work into it. Because as long as you just need an understanding. If you get an understanding of it, then you can kind of mix it the right amount of gumbo mix that you need to make it work for everybody involved. Yeah, so I don't think they need to be a collector per se, but and also too honestly, like the way Fanatics is probably going to go from my point of view is less collector based anyway. It's less of what the hobby is now. It's not what the hobby represents now. It's which direction they're going in. They're on a totally different highway. We're on 95 South right now. They're going 95 North.
Right. Yeah. So Brody, I'll ask you kind of similar question. Like, do you think CEOs of these companies need to be sports card collectors or collectors of anything? Because that was kind of the thing that I think we came to consensus on in the other episode was that they don't have to necessarily be into sports cards, but they have to sort of understand the nature of collecting. So, like, from your perspective, is that something that you think is super important, or do you think it's something where somebody who's at that level should sort of have a grasp on just the marketing and all that kind of stuff in general?
They really need to be knowledgeable on what collectors do and why people do what they do. I think. I don't know. This is a great question for me. I kind of blanked out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Never. My brain froze.
That's all good. Yeah, I think
Good.
what you said there is kind of what we sort of were saying on the other episode with, the collecting concept. People, they have to understand that more maybe than necessarily be into sports cards. I think the pool, honestly, of people who could be executive level employees and then are also into sports cards is probably not super large, if I had to guess. I'm sure like a lot of us, that are making content or that are kind of working on stuff in the industry, I think advisor level stuff, I think would be really great. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. So I actually think we're going to come to sort of the end of the show here. So Brody, I'll kick it to you first. Do you have any thoughts or anything you want to share with the audience to kind of wrap up the show here?
Just follow me on Twitter at BrodyTK, on Instagram at BrodyTheKid1. Yeah. Thanks, guys, for watching the show, and thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Erica, same question for you.
Yes. I appreciate everyone. I'm happy to be here. If you happen to be at home and you don't have any scheduled things to watch today, 1 and 3 p.m. ABC WNBA games will be on. So tune in, that's what I would say. Tune in and enjoy.
Absolutely. It is also good to see, WNBA games finally being put on TV. I think that's really exciting. I mean, I think it's something where, the bubble, I think, was really kind of the first time we saw WNBA games really kind of promoted on ESPN. I mean, I think that was really great. Most of those games were kind of all on ESPN, which was really great. And
like every day.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It was amazing.
Right. Yeah. And so for me, we all work with Hobby News Daily. I'm going to give them a shout out as well. Erica, Brody, phenomenal writers doing the monthly, weekly articles, stuff like that. I've been working kind of on the back end on some of the blog stuff that's been really great. We've been making some great updates to the website. So I want to give, Danny, obviously a huge shout out, John, huge shout out. We also kind of, it's sort of similar circles where we all are sort of on this show. And then some of us work for Hobby News Daily, which is really great. I really want to appreciate everybody for leaving comments. Thank you to everybody who enjoyed enjoyed today's show, make sure you check us out. I believe the next show will be next Saturday here on Bench Clear Media. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you hit the like button on YouTube. Check us out at Hobby News Daily, also on our other YouTube channel. Well, not our other YouTube channel, but the Hobby News Daily YouTube channel. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next episode.
Peace out.